fantastic.
All right, so I'm here with Stefan. I'm going to ask you to pronounce your last name.
Ytterborn.
Stefan Ytterborn of Cake. Now, Cake was actually on my radar. Believe it or not, I definitely was thinking about Cake. And I'm not quite sure. I mentioned it to Garen, who's kindly holding the camera for us right now. I mentioned it to him when I walked by, because it's not so surprising. We do a renewable energy themed talk show in Maui, Hawaii, and we focus on EVs and bikes. I myself got a couple of electric bikes as soon as they came out. Had a lot of fun with them. Fell off them a couple times, hurt myself a couple times. Enjoyed the experience though. I was telling Garen that that one of the things that I noticed about getting those bikes early on, about 3-4 years ago, my friends would come up and say, "Oh, Josh, you're so lazy. What are you doing getting an electric bike?" And then they would ride it, and they would say, "Where can I buy this?" Immediately, like they love that concept of what it is. But Cake is a lot bigger idea. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, your background, what it's all about?
So basically, I'm a gravity sports guy, so I'm not a moto freak in any ways. I'm the kind of guy who get annoyed when there's a Ducati passing by in the streets, and I'm like, get out of here. But when I first encountered an electric motorbike 6 or 7 years ago, I was like, this is really interesting because this, the way I say it, will flip the market upside down when it comes to the motorcycling space. And I started buying, so I got 16 or 17 electric motorbikes just to figure out what's working and what's not working. And I had hundreds of friends riding these. And at the time, I was running a company named POC that I founded back in 2005 or something, doing protection for skiing and cycling and whatever. And I had no intention initially to get into this business, but curious, trying these bikes, I can say there were two main points that made me get into this for real. I had world champion motocross guys getting back to me, having tried these bikes, saying that, hey, Stefan, it's amazing. It's more like surfing or skiing powder in the woods without the need for slope or snow. But the most convincing aspect was when I had young women on these bikes for the first time, never ever having been on a motorbike before, helmets on, goggles on, boots on, idling away really slowly, and then getting back to me after 20 minutes at high speed, sliding in front of me saying, hey, Stefan, this is the most amazing thing I've done in my life. And I realized that this is including, it's easy to ride, it's sustainable, it doesn't disturb, there's no noise, and it actually promotes a totally new experience in terms of riding motorbikes. We speak internally about what we're doing, that it's more Patagonia than Kawasaki. And based out of that, and with what I had in terms of the number of motorcycles, I figured that there were some things that I learned and I think that we understood that we should be doing, and went in there and started developing our first model, which is the Calc bike over here.
There's a lot there. There's a lot there in what you just said. I mean, from an energy perspective, we start thinking about these electrically powered cars, buses, bikes, bicycles, and then we think, oh well, it's a great opportunity to save energy and then limit our GHG spend, our greenhouse gas spend. But then what we don't always realize is this impact it has on our lives, and how you just described performance gains for professionals, and then it's inclusive for everyone to be able to get something new and kind of enjoyable that they probably might not have done before in a regular motorcycle. I totally get it. I'm hearing this kind of theme echoed throughout technology kind of companies right now. Well, tell me a little bit about about your product line and what you have on display here.
Yeah, basically I think we should be starting to from there to the left, which is basically the first. Should we be moving? Yeah.
I'll just follow you.
Yeah. So this is our first bike. It was shown as a prototype a year and a half ago, and we actually brought it to the market in series production from March. It's the Calc OR, and what this is basically a high-performance electric off-road motorbike. So what I learned by trying, the 16 or 17 bikes I got from the beginning was that there were two categories in the market. There were the traditional combustion engine geeks. What they were doing, getting into electric, they just swapped drivetrains from combustion to electric. Same kinematics, same weight, same angles and everything. But what really inspired me was all of these small garage brands building hybrids, using mountain bike stuff and motorbike stuff, welding that together and bringing something new. But it wouldn't, they wouldn't last. Like 15 minutes on a trail and it just all broke down. The bike's parts were too weak and the motorcycling parts were too heavy. So based on that, we started this project with developing something from scratch. And this bike only has 3 standard parts: rubber handles, brake levers, and foot pegs. Everything else, every tube has been specifically extruded. Hubs, rims, spokes, even the tires are specifically developed to leave a smaller footprint while out riding the trails. So it's a 68 kilo, so about 150 pound motorbike, and an equivalent combustion engine bike would be twice that same weight. So it's something that is super light in its appearance, and that's all about promoting the character of the electric drivetrain and building a vessel around the electric drivetrain rather than just swapping, drivetrains. And again, there's a reason why a combustion engine bike looks the way it does, because the combustion engine itself has its specific size, volume, weight, and so forth. So again, that's how we got started, and that's the first one. Then looking at the next one here, that's the street version. So this one is certified for street use in America and Europe. And the idea behind this is to have a fun, off-road vehicle that you can use, during weekends or vacations or whatever. At the same time, using it as a perfect, transportation device to get from work and home again, to work and back home again. Just commenting, which is interesting, we did our first race with combustion engine bikes in an enduro race 12 weeks ago. There were 118 participants. It was like Scandinavian elite. We ended up in 5th place. So it does, it flies like hell. You can see from the pictures here that they're doing flips and jumping 30 meters and whatever.
Well, just if I may, for a moment, so you have a power to weight advantage.
Yes.
Were you racing against internal combustion engines?
Yes, they were. So again, to be clear about that specific race, it's a power to weight ratio concept from the beginning. We define what we're doing as light, quiet, and clean. And in this case, we went into the first race and we were the only electric bike. So there were all 250s and 450s, KTMs and Yamahas and so forth. And I can tell you, the guys that didn't know about us and didn't have a clue about what this actually was, they were shaking their heads before that race. And I can tell you, they were dead silent after the race.
I love it. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other bikes.
So then we went into this next concept. So if this is the performance experience kind of bike itself for being out there having fun, the next one is about getting from point A to point B.
Okay, this one over here?
Yeah, it's there. So the thing with this one is more about getting to the point of activity. So whether you'd be a professional, a carpenter, or a gardener, or whatever, you bring your stuff, and it's actually more of a mobile powertrain than an electric vehicle. So aside from just driving or running the actual motorbike, that battery itself can actually both charge and run your power tools, for instance. So you can bring your, anything from a chainsaw to a, drilling machine or whatever it might be. Yeah, so you can build, a house in the middle of nowhere, or if you're, a rock band, you can bring your Marshall stack and do a concert off the grid.
This is actually a really key point that I'm seeing a lot in conversation right now.
Yeah.
Last week's radio show we did with a company called Electric Hybrid, which is an MIT-based F-150, F-250 retrofit technology,
Yeah.
and they were saying the next stage was to be able to incorporate more robust systems for all the tools that fleet operators use.
Yeah.
So a very similar theme. And then what is the battery type you have, and what is the capability or the overall specs?
It's a it's a 2.6 kilowatt hour battery, and it'll let the bike run for between 4 and 5 hours. And it comes in 2 versions, so both as a scooter or a motorcycle in Europe, where top speeds are 65 miles per hour, while the moped is like 45 k's, 30 miles per hour, I guess. I'm bad with the American measures, sorry. And the thing is that this one is built like this central beam is actually part of the construction, but it's also the device that holds this utility kind of clamp-on system. So this clamp
very modular.
Fits a number of different, so there are thousands of combinations. So there's, there's stands to take your mountain bike. You can, again, just to mention a few, there are these different baskets, there are bags with it, there are racks to hang your surfboards, there are racks to hang smaller stuff that if you'd be a carpenter bringing, garden tools and whatever it might be, and tons of things. So in that sense, you have a need, you need to transport yourself from point A to point B, whether it's highways or off-road or whatever it might be. We'll get you there clean, silent, safely, and without polluting. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Okay, so you've got these 4 great models. I heard, just to recap, I heard we landed on the moped, which was the kind of the last one we talked about. And what is the price point of that vehicle?
These are some model. The next platform, they're between $6,500 and $9,500 dollars. The other ones, the off-road one is at 13, and the street certified one is 14,000 bucks.
There you go. Okay, so achievable. People can buy these. Are they available in the American marketplace today?
Yes, we've been delivering these in America since March. The off-road one, this new one, the transportation-oriented version, starts delivering from by the end of March.
Okay, sounds good. Now I have to ask, because we're solar guys, how do you charge these? What kind of ports do you use?
That's the most beautiful thing, and I'm amazed that media has not picked it up. We have, since the start, served or offered the market a solar panel solution. And it's amazing, if you understand, especially how these performance machines actually perform, that with 2 standard size solar panels, you can charge these bikes without never ever sapping the grid or buying a single kilowatt hour just from the sun, which is amazing.
Ride on sunshine.
Yeah, ride on sunshine. It's actually happening, and if we'd be a car company, we'd be needing 55 panels. But again, due to the power weight ratio and the fact that they're so light and the performance that we've been able to infuse into these machines, you can actually, with 2 solar panels, even in Sweden, charge them enough on a daily basis to never ever.
That's pretty amazing, even in Sweden, because you're talking about peak sun and a lower sun zone, right? Very cool. So is someone playing around with one of the attachments for a solar panel or something, or do you have a charging port or a battery charger option? Or?
We have a concept right now where we actually do sell these solar panels with the power station. It's on our website. But of course, the dream is for us to be able to have a portable solution so we can actually fold something out. But I think it's potentially, guessing 2 or 3 years away.
Gotcha. Well, very exciting. It's the most robust offering I've seen in the electrified motorcycle space yet, and it looks like something I would enjoy riding. Hopefully we get a chance to try it in Maui soon. Maybe you'll come and do a demonstration at the Hawaii Energy Conference in a couple of months. That's an idea.
An invitation for that, actually. I think that, to me, I think that Hawaii is, for many reasons, a place where we need to be. And the sooner the better. And I'd say that if you call for us, we'll be there soon.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's just right around the corner. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see cake. Thanks to Garen for holding the phone and getting us some good video. And thank you, Stefan Ytterborn.
Yeah, good enough.
All right, get close to that. All right, aloha.
Aloha.